Hello, everybody. Welcome back again to the Planet Film Network. Some scheduling difficulties, and then right at the last second here, some technical difficulties have kept us from you. But
trying to
we
keep
did have
us
a
down.
nice, at this point, a week ago, we did have a nice. Where is that coming from?
Are you echoing?
Yeah.
You're listening to your monitor mix instead of your stream mix. Isn't that usually? Oh no, I think you're no. Oh. No, I don't know.
Just ignore me. It was coming from my phone.
Oh, yep, that'll do it.
Me.
That'll do it.
Just ignore me. Okay. Now that, everything's it's taken us 3 days to go live, but it all went wrong at the last second. But what I was trying to say before I interrupted myself, it has been a week ago at this point, but I did have a nice solo Star Wars Celebration stream that I am still trying to recover my sleep schedule for. That was nice to be up every day last week at 6 a.m. For London time zone.
Oof. Daniel said I sound loud and fuzzy. Great.
Really?
How come everything ever works just like first time?
I know. It really doesn't. Well, while TJ is maybe sorting that out, although to me, I don't know. You sound fine to me, but I wonder what's going on. Got my wavelength.
I can see what she means, but I'll just turn myself down a little bit and see if that helps.
I got the wavelength ready. At the ready for you. But yeah. So we had Star Wars Celebration this past week. I just realized. Oh my god. Wow, we're really just amateur hour right now. There we go. Star Wars Celebration was this past week. I know we're going to talk a lot about that in a little bit here on the show. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to kind of skip over what we've been watching. We're going to talk about one big thing. But we're not going to go through everything that we've been watching because we just have so much to talk about today. Some stuff that just dropped recently, some stuff that dropped a little bit ago, and then we're going to dive pretty deep into Star Wars Celebration talk and the HBO Max, Warner Brothers Discovery kind of, I'll say, kerfuffle that all went down yesterday with a lot of stuff to dive into there. But first thing I want to start off with is just real quick. I just wanted you to know on a personal note, I'm still playing through Jedi Fallen Order. I have it up right in front of me. I was literally playing it right before I went on here. But I just took out the giant, I forget what it's called, the giant flying beast on Dathomir.
Okay.
Super annoying level still. I have gotten, and the map, oh my god, the map. It is so much worse than I even remembered. I am so glad that they are fixing that for that, but I do have I have my pre-order placed. I have my, the 28th requested off from work. So I am going to be playing that as soon as possible, and that is, of course, Jedi Survivor. But yeah. Oh, you know what? Actually, yeah, we're not going to talk about what we watched, but I did want to get your thoughts real quick on some of the trailers that came out. So first and foremost, what were your thoughts on the Marvels trailer?
I was, looked good. I'm excited for it in general. I liked all three of those characters that showed up. Like seeing, Sam Jackson again, back as Nick Fury. We already saw him in Secret Invasion, of course, in that trailer. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm not a Brie Larson hater. I actually quite like her. So I should have no problem with this movie. I think it's the most disliked trailer on YouTube or something like that. I saw, which doesn't really shock me. But yeah, so far so good. I think
with the dislike number. How did that even?
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
Public? I don't even know.
Yeah.
I guess there's certain channels that you can market as viewable or something, but yeah, I mean it's something like 250,000 dislikes, which is like insane. But yeah, I thought the trailer was really nice. I did trailer reaction for it. I really liked the vibe of it. I liked that it was not like typical, here's what's gonna happen, here's the villain, here's them fighting the villain. It was really just more about like giving the vibe of like this is gonna be adventure type, space, like cosmic stuff. I really talked a lot in that trailer reaction, I realized, about how much I love like exploring different planets and stuff like that, and we've really only gotten the chance to do that in 3 or 4 movies with the Guardians, some of the Thors, and then the first Captain Marvel. But I'm excited that we're gonna get to see some of these other planets and everything. We got an army of Flurkin, an army of I'm assuming Goose's children over the years. So that if we get an army of Flurkin unleashed on the enemy, it's gonna be pretty crazy stuff. But Kamala Khan looks great. Monica looks great, like you said. Nick Fury. Interested to know, is this pre-Secret Invasion? Kind of what are we dealing with here? But yeah, I thought it was really, really great. I did put in our notes here to talk about multiple trailers, but I really can't remember them off the top of my head. So I guess we'll just move on. Because again, like I said, we do have a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and dive right in here to our review of the Super Mario Brothers movie. So if you want to start the old clip, I will launch in whenever you are ready. Okay, yeah, I got a chance to see this a couple days ago. I know you saw it a little earlier than I did, but yeah, so So, if you guys are just joining us for this review, this is just a clip out that we took from our show PFN Live that we do every week. Normally, it's at Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but this week was a little different. But we are going to give you our thoughts right now on the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I always want to say brothers, but that's not what it is. So I'll go first here, just with some of my quick initial thoughts. And we were talking a little bit off mic before we went live. I definitely enjoyed it. I will say that. I had a great time in the theater. I thought it really was like, if you know these games, even if you're just familiar with these games, because it's not like you have to know everything to know everything. Right. I think if you just have like a general base knowledge of like who Mario is, who Luigi is, what Mushroom Kingdom is, and then who Bowser and who Peach are. Like if you know those 5 things, that's pretty much all you need to know. But that being said, it's one of those classic adaptations of anything that, the deeper knowledge you know, the more rewarding it will be. That being said, like I said, you mentioned it before we went live here, I do think that overall it was kind of like empty calories, the movie, for me. That's not to take anything away from my enjoyment, because like I said, I thought it was an absolute blast. I loved it in the theater. But the more distance I have from it, and you have even more distance from it, because you saw it a little bit earlier than I did, the less it kind of sits well with me, and the more things I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. But those are some of my general thoughts before we get in a little more nitty gritty. But how did you feel about the movie overall?
I fucking love this movie. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Whoa.
Didn't think, again, we knew going into it was going to be short on story. Again, every Mario game is, we got to go rescue Peach from Bowser. And that's it. That's the story. So there's not much to the games. I didn't really expect much going into the movie. Yeah. Thought all the voice performances were awesome. I was surprised by Chris Pratt.
Pratt was great.
Chris Pratt was awesome. And you had seen some of that, coming out of it, like opening night, and some of people saying like, "Oh, Chris Pratt, great." Thought that was all good. Charlie Day was awesome as Luigi. Jack Black was great, and his song performance as well as Bowser, I thought was really funny. And I really enjoyed a lot of the references, specifically my favorite, just because I'm a big GameCube guy. In the beginning, it's Mario and Luigi's cell phone ringtone is the GameCube like startup theme, which is really cool. But yeah, I had a really great time with it. I'm excited to see what else they do going forward, because they kind of like tease a sequel at the end. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I gotta say, I really, because I want to make clear, I really, really enjoyed this movie. Like crowd pleasing. Like I was cheering. I was not crying, but I was like getting emotional and everything like that. Yeah. it's just really, like you said, it's really just the story that's just kind of like, this happens to Mario, then this happens to Mario, then he has to go meet Donkey Kong, then he has to drive with Donkey Kong, then he has to fight Bowser, then Bowser fights him back, then they get teleported, then they fight again, and there you go. Like, but within that, I think easily the best dynamic in the movie is, to no one's surprise, Mario and Luigi. Although I will say, I audibly turned to my friend and I said, I guess there's not really much you can spoil for this movie, but I'll just say, to keep it loosely spoiler free, I'll say when the setting changes towards the end of the movie, when that happened and Luigi's kind of frightened and everything, I was like, man, top half of the movie, Luigi really had a lot to do, but this back half, man, Luigi's like gone. He's gone. And then right when I said that, Luigi's got some really great moments in the very end of the movie, particularly one, I'll say, Captain America-y scene, that I literally got up out of my seat and I went, yeah, like I was in the back row. I wouldn't have done that if I was in front of people, but
okay, they probably thought you were just another kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I and that's the other thing. The crowd I saw it with loved it. Like everyone in the theater. It's just one of those electric experiences. And I will say this: take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt of how much I liked it, because this movie, in a professional sense, kicked my ass for the last week and a half. Because when I was getting up at 5:30 every day to pay attention to Celebration, I was also going to work for 8 hours and getting destroyed by 2,000 children every single day, which was probably one of the busiest movies I've ever worked consistently in a row, because it was just every day thousands of people, just thousands and thousands and thousands of people coming to the theater that I work at every single day, which, I mean, it's great for our theater, great for theaters in general. We're not going to talk box office this week, other than the fact I'll throw in right here, monumental smash hit, obviously. I mean, it's already at $500 million, probably going to hit $1 billion. It will hit $1 billion. But huge success and everything. But it's really just this crowd-pleasing movie that if you're going into it expecting, Lord of the Rings or like this like epic journey or something like that, you're not going to get that here. You're just not going to get that. But I think that, like I've said before on this show, like my roommate's little sister, whenever she's over and everything, we're a big Trolls household. This is, I think, just as story rich as like a Trolls movie, which I think are good movies. I think they're good movies for little kids and they're enjoyable for adults and everything like that. And this movie definitely has that. But yeah. I thought it was really, really great. I thought it was really great, but just not much story there. I think if we're going to get a sequel to this, which, like you, I do want to see, because and Danielle in chat, shout out to Danielle in chat right now, said, "Where's Daisy?" I feel like I was frustrated with the things and people that were left out, but I think they did a great job of picking who got left out to really make a sequel hit. And I think they did that on purpose, because, I mean, how great is the sequel trailer going to be when you go, oh my god, it's Daisy and Waluigi and Wario and all these people who weren't in the first one. Bowser Jr., like, there's so much that they included in this movie, but then there's so much that they left on the table. Like, oh my god, it's Cappy. Like, he's going to take over a T-Rex. Like, there's so many of these cool moments and everything like that, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed the movie, but, do I think it's the second coming of, like, a David Lean epic? Not so much. But what are anything else you want to throw in before we move on from Mario?
Just speaking of the whole Daisy thing, I thought it was funny considering I had watched the 1992 one the day before, because I've never seen it. Yeah. And Daisy's the main person in that. Yeah, no Peach whatsoever.
Get out of there, Peach. Yeah.
Which I thought was really funny. I again, like you said, not much story. But I thought what was there worked for me. In previous games or most recent games, they've been doing the whole Bowser wanting to marry Peach instead of him like kidnapping her.
Yeah, that was straight out of Galaxy or straight out
which
of
is
Odyssey. Like
which is I thought was interesting. They've kind of tried to change that idea of Peach always being the one captured and helpless,
Yeah.
which I think is cool. And they obviously did it with this. They obviously Peach was the way more capable one in this than Mario, especially in the beginning.
And I feel like that trope of and by that trope I mean the trope of taking the female, like a very specific trope of taking the female character who in previous versions was the trope of damsel in distress, and now making her not just not a damsel in distress, but making her like the main capable one. Like that, they do that with a couple of different, reboots and stuff like that. I thought maybe this was the best version of that. I thought I bought entirely that this, the backstory that Peach has been raised in this Mushroom Kingdom since she was a girl, and that she grew up training and doing all this stuff. No Mary Sue Peaches here, none to be seen. But yeah, I thought it was really, compelling. But
last thing I'll say real quick. Again, great movie. And I'm hoping just with the success of this, it'll open Nintendo up to be doing more things with all their other IP. And I think if you want more of, if you're focusing more story based, I think you probably look at, the two other the two other main ones I'm thinking of are either Zelda or Metroid. And I don't think those, as far as Zelda, I think you could do a good Zelda live action movie. I think you could probably do a good Metroid movie.
Yeah.
So I don't think those need to be animated. Again, Nintendo very, very much protective of what they do with their IP. So they're not going to let you go all willy-nilly with it, obviously. But I think you could make a good Metroid PG-13 live action movie. Same with Legend of Zelda. And maybe you keep, again, Mario, just the way the whole thing works, I think you just have to keep it animated. Because I feel like it would just be too goofy in live action. But hopefully, those are things that come.
What do you think the likelihood here would be of, because we have seen it before, of, Sony Marvel, stuff like this that we've seen before, of joint rights or working on a project together. What do you think the chances are, give it 5-6 years down the line, of somehow getting Sonic into this, or a Smash type situation? Detective
I don't
Pikachu,
even know how you do
get
that.
Sonic.
I don't know how you do that. There was the only.
I think they could do it.
Now, granted, if you played Super Smash Bros. Brawl, there is. Could be. If you played Smash Bros. Brawl, there's an entire campaign dedicated with cutscenes for each character. There's probably 50 characters in that game. Each character has their own cutscene to introduce them, and it's a whole thing. And I had a really fun with that when I was younger. Obviously, I don't think that would translate to
a film,
a screen, film or TV show, whatever. But I maybe you could do it. I would rather honestly they keep separate. Doesn't mean Sonic can't show up in something, because obviously they've done things together.
Sonic.
That could be, that could be a fun joke.
Yeah, actually, legally, I think they could do Ugly Sonic. Oh no, never mind, you can't. Because I was gonna say, it's so funny how copyright works, because Chip and Dale was legally able to use Ugly Sonic, but now Ugly Sonic is a trademark. So just they parodied it, but now their parody is covered, so they would have to do Pretty Sonic or something like that.
Last thing I'll say is I think going forward, and I forgot who I saw said this, and it makes sense. They're probably gonna stick with Universal because they already have this relationship, as well as Universal has the Super Mario Land in their theme park. So
did Universal do Detective Pikachu? Who did that?
I don't know.
Because also question. Detective Pikachu is kind of in a weird spot, because this movie, had a massive Nintendo logo at the front.
Right.
Where I don't remember
Detective Pikachu was distributed by Warner Brothers.
Interesting.
So.
Okay. So, and that's kind of stalled out on a follow up to that too. So I don't know what's going on with that. But either way, guys, that was our thoughts on the Mario movie. Let us know what you guys thought of the Mario movie in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for joining us in this review. While you're down there letting us know what you thought, make sure to like, comment, share, or subscribe and share this video with a Mario fan or a fan of Nintendo or a fan of video games, whatever you want to do. All right. So we probably cut that there. And then let's move on and talk. Now, I know in our notes here, I only gave this 10 minutes. But I do feel like, because we're going to talk about the Warner Brothers HBO Max stuff later in the show. Yesterday, my blood was really boiling about that topic. I think we could probably loosen up on how long I said for that. So I want to give a little bit more time, and if you want to start a new video here, to talk about The Mandalorian. Little show on Disney Plus. I don't know if you guys have heard of it or not, but we are definitely going to be spoiling it. I know that there are a couple people in the chat right now that do want to talk about this pretty heavily, because I know we're at a big tipping point for this show, I feel, and we got 7 people watching us right now. We're about to dive into some of our thoughts on The Mandalorian, Chapter 23, Season 3, Episode 7, The Spies. Just that title alone has had a lot of questions behind it, and the kind of plural nature of that title. But TJ, I took first spot here with Mario, so I want to know, what did you think of, actually, you know, I've been doing my immediate reaction videos to The Mandalorian, but we haven't really talked about The Mandalorian a ton on the main show here. So kind of give me what you've been thinking about the show overall, and kind of where you think it's going to go. And, if we're taking Elia Kane as the spy, who is the other spy? Who are the spies? And I'm going to go grab water real quick.
All right. Yeah, so far for season 3, it's been pretty up and down so far, I'd say. I thought it started decently strong. Then we get episodes like, not this previous episode, but the one before that, with Lizzo and Jack Black, which was kind of all just a little disjointed. You know, we have the ending with Bo-Katan, you know, getting the Darksaber, but it's kind of very weird and funky in the way she gets it, and it's a whole thing. But I thought this most recent episode was just a true return to form. Kind of makes you wonder why the show wasn't this good throughout the entire season, I guess. And yeah, everything just kind of worked for me. I thought it was a fantastic cold open, with Giancarlo coming back as Moff Gideon and having that little Shadow Council meeting, which I thought was cool. I don't know if that's ever referred to before. Is that been ever? Okay, it has been. You get some relatives of some characters that we already know, which I thought was really cool. Really tying in. And we saw this with the whole cloning thing in season 2, I think it was. They're really starting to try and tie in and fill in those gaps in the sequel trilogy, which I really like, because again, it just it fleshes it out more. You're getting more information that Rise of Skywalker did not give you whatsoever, when they just told you, and you're supposed to believe it.
Have you watched that since 2019?
Yeah, I've watched it one other time.
I still haven't, but I feel like I might want to. Like, yeah. I'm kind of hyped up on the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
You know, people have I'll let you continue. I just want to jump in when you said that about the sequel trilogy getting filled in. People have always said the last couple of years, like, oh, are we going to get an animated show like Rebels, you know, fleshed out the original trilogy, Clone Wars fleshed out the prequel trilogy? Are we going to get like an animated show? I think we're getting our answer, which is we already have it, which is all of these shows. I think, like you said, they're doing a great job, especially this week. And again, we're in spoiler territory here for The Mandalorian, with the Praetorian Guards coming in, Brendel Hux coming in, Pelion. Obviously, we're building up even more with Thrawn. So yeah, I mean, but keep going. Well, what do you think about the spies? What do you think? Do we think? I got some water, but I also got you know, I have, you can't see it right now, but I always have Din and Baby Grogu, as I've started calling him, Baby Grogu. But I wanted to get this lady off of my other shelf under my TV. What's going on in that helmet?
Yes, I've heard. I heard. I forget what I was watching. Who said it? But somebody pointed that out. That was like, I wonder if she's the spy. And I'll be honest, when she said she was going back to drop off those injured other Mandalorians, when they kept showing the ship, like, you know, going through all that storm, like the storm in the atmosphere. Yeah. I was like, oh, she's gonna get like blown to bits or something, because they keep showing it, and then we see her like reach space, and then we don't see her again. And everybody, you know, that's a very good possibility. I don't know what her motivation would be, but it is a very big possibility. Maybe she's some, I don't even know.
Well, I think there's the super deep lore theory, which is that we could see her being Rook Cast, who was a character. So that's if you think back, she is extremely a deep cut. I think it's only like 4 episodes in Rebels, and then implied. Nope, other way around. Implied in Rebels, a few episodes in the Siege of Oh, sorry, my brain is like, I said a few episodes in the Siege of Mandalore. Siege of Mandalore is only 4 episodes. She is Gar Saxon's like right hand woman. So in Siege of Mandalore, she's the one that's like his right hand, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
We don't know what happened to her. She's mentioned in Rebels as potentially still being on the table. So that's kind of the deep cut theory, is that maybe the armorer is Rook Cast and has always, because there's also the why, and now I would say even deeper. You know, I guess I should have brought over. I have a Gar Saxon Funko Pop as well, but Gar Saxon's helmet looks almost identical to Moff Gideon's, and what all 3 have in common is the horns. The only people that we've ever seen have horns on their Mandalorian helmets were the people loyal to Maul. So I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on, because she's such a stoic kind of obtuse character, really.
Right.
But I think in terms of motivation, if you want to talk about that, I think maybe, you know, I just feel like she wants the way. You know what I mean? She's always said, you know, this is the way. You know, it's not until these last few episodes where she's like, you know what? Yeah, hey man, Bo-Katan, why don't you take your helmet off? Unite everybody. You know, go for it. Like, it felt kind of like, you know, yeah, go for it. Let's bring them all into one place.
And we can kill them all.
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, just a couple weeks ago, when that kind of happened, we were thinking, you know, why is she giving Bo this power? You know, she's always wanted, you know, honestly, she says this is the way, but it's her way. You know, it's her way or the highway, to be honest. Din takes his helmet off once. She didn't even see him do it. He just confessed to it, and she goes, "You're out, buddy. You're done. You know, you gotta, you know, that was this season." And so then to have it be 4 or 5 episodes later, all of a sudden she's like, you know what? No, Bo-Katan can walk both ways. We got to stick together in this, you know? Like, it felt kind of like a weird switch up. But then also this episode, we have the introduction of Skinny Pete and a couple other, and Charles Parnell from Top Gun Maverick as these Mandalorian pirates.
I go, that guy looks really familiar.
Yeah, I forget what show I was watching, but they thought he was the sea snake, Corlys from House of the Dragon, and I was like, no, that's not what he's from, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, he was Warlock in Top Gun. But then we also get Skinny Pete from Breaking Bad, who, again, you and I were talking about a couple weeks ago, you know, the Jack Black and Lizzo thing. It's like, this is how you do, not necessarily cameos, but like, oh, it's that guy. Like, that's what this show really needs, is you need to be like, that's so cool that they got them. Yeah. Not like, oh, that's Jack Black and Lizzo. Like that, like that was very like jarring. But we also have those guys on the table now. They lead them right to the forge, right into the trap. So, you know, was that genuine, or did they lead them there on purpose? I think there's a lot of questions, but where are you leaning kind of with that? And then we'll kind of get into where we're at with IG-12 and Grogu, and then also where Din ultimately ends up in this episode, and then we'll talk about the sad thing at the end.
I'm starting to lean towards that. You know, maybe she is the other the other spy.
Mhm.
Obviously, we got very little of Elia
Elia
Kane. Is
Kane.
her name?
Yeah.
Elia
Yeah, because
Kane.
she's only in the cold open. That's
Yeah.
it.
So obviously she's kind of like this false. Uh, she's acting as though she's been turned to, the New Republic side,
Mhm.
while she actually hasn't. I mean, obviously we saw that in I forget what I think 2 episodes ago, before that, with Dr. Pershing and all that
Mhm.
other stuff. So I think that's probably it. Again, I think, and I said this. Well, you might have heard me, but I was like, I don't really know why the show wasn't this good throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have shortened it. Dare I say, instead of go on these kind of side missions that really don't amount to anything. But I'm really excited. This has me really excited for next week. I'll tell you that much. And I really like how we're building. We're putting more things into place to make everything else make sense, and
Yeah.
that is really cool for me, and I'm assuming a lot of people.
100%. Yeah, I want to get to some of these chats here. We have Michelle saying 2 of the spies for sure were Elia and the Armorer. So it looks like really buying the Armorer thing there. I mean, how would Moff Gideon get the suits made without the Armorer? That is something I didn't even think
Fair
about.
enough. Yeah.
I
I
didn't
mean,
even think about
when
that.
when he came down, or when they started running, and you start to see like this is like, I was like, oh, this looks like a ship. I was like, oh shit. It's like
Yeah, when
they're
the
like walking
rock,
right into him.
it felt like Fallen Order. It was like,
Yeah.
how come hey, did you notice that the walls changed from rock to
Yeah.
metal a few paces back?
Yeah.
And then when they turn the corner and you see those like Death Star Imperial like long lights
Yeah.
on the wall, like you're like, uh-oh, this is real bad. And
Those
then you see the
how about those
hangars.
new and improved? What are they? Are those Death Troopers? Is that what he calls them? I forget.
He calls himself so the armor that he's wearing is what he
Mhm.
says is the new and improved Death Trooper.
Right.
Which I think is interesting too, because last season Pershing said that the Death Trooper was perfected by removing the pilot. He said removing the pilot and taking the humanity out of
Oh
it
yeah,
is
those are
what
the
made
ones
them
Luke
so
like
vicious.
absolutely destroys, right?
Yeah. So those ones were not Beskar, obviously. These ones are. But I also think it goes to show like the hubris, obviously, which is a huge Star Wars thing of Moff Gideon, because he literally says, and the biggest improvement of all is now it has me.
Yeah.
I've been doing a Moff Gideon impression all day. I just love, you have something I want. But just the arrogance on him, and then going back to the cold open, the fact that he has any delusion of standing up against Thrawn is like is the cutest thing I've ever seen. And also I loved Captain Pelion getting mentioned. We had also, if we just want to take a quick sidestep into news real quick, we got a potential Eli Vanto casting, which would be really, really cool from some of the Thrawn novels. But yeah, the Moff Gideon stuff with that, I think this show has really been missing him. To go to your point about maybe it should have been less episodes, maybe.
Which is something you wouldn't think that would make sense, but
because
given the quality of the show,
we talked about that with the Bad Batch mid-season. We were like, man, if this was 12 instead of 16, or even 10 instead of 16, it'd be just a perfect tight Star Wars show. And then by the time you get to the finale, all the things that were, not filler, but that we were like, why did we need this? All of a sudden made sense. We needed the Crosshair, one-off episodes to show where he's at. We needed even the riot racing one with Tech, because you're seeing the life that Tech realizes he could maybe have, that then makes it even more impactful when it's taken away from him. This season of The Mandalorian, I'm not sure we're gonna get that. I don't know if we're gonna get the, in the finale, and now you go back and it all, they did need to see Lizzo, because Grogu being a knight, it saved the day.
Yeah.
They were like, well, actually, you can't capture him because he's a knight of this one planet. That being said, actually, now that I'm talking about that, I actually do think that the Lizzo thing is going to come back up because remember, her and Jack Black both say that they will petition the New Republic to make Mandalore a sovereign state again. So I actually think that those characters might actually come up again. But that being said, let's move on here to Din. To Din and Grogu and everything like that. We get what did you think about the kind of resolution from the premiere about IG-11 becoming this kind of Grogu mech, breaking up the fight between Axe and Paz, everything like that, having agency, being a little thief, like Ezra Bridger style, stealing some fruit. How did you kind of feel about that, of Grogu now kind of being able to be in the fight more directly?
Yeah, I thought that was cool. At first I was like, this thing is hella slow. Like when they were running through the cavern, I was like, I think he's gonna get like lost back there. I think at one point he says, keep up, and he's he's moving a little. I thought that was cool to bring that back. I thought the whole kind of yes no thing was really funny. I think that's a great way to allow him to communicate as well.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But yeah, I was pretty happy with it. I'm assuming they'll probably just keep going with it. I don't know when it would if he kind of outgrows it at some point or whatever. Yeah. But
my guess is they'll probably, although it seems like all of a sudden, everybody was like, well, no, you have to understand he's at the N1 now because he's given up the life of a bounty hunter. He needs a smaller ship. But half the season they've just been in Bo-Katan's ship anyways.
Oh yeah.
So it's like maybe they'll just they'll keep it on the ship as like, does Grogu need his pod today or does he need his suit? But yeah, I thought it worked great. I know some people weren't happy with it, Grogu in his little power suit, but I thought it was great. Like you, I like the yes no. Like Grief Karga being like, come on, let him try it. Like, and he's like, he's too young. He's 20 years older than you, Din. Like, and I hate the implication though that like Grogu's been able to understand everybody the entire time. But because he's just in regular conversation with them now, and it's like, so did he know he was eating the frog lady's children? But I guess we don't look too much into that. Let's move on here to Din, and then we'll talk about Paz at the end here. But Din is not in a good spot. So we know he's, as much beef as Gideon has with Bo-Katan in these last few years, he's got just as much beef with Din. And he definitely saw the opportunity to move on that and to take Din off the board by capturing him, which I thought was a pretty harrowing scene. I would say I was really worried
doing his best
for him. He was.
I thought he might die, honestly. When he dropped to his knees, I thought they might just kill him right there. I was like, oh shit!
For a second, I thought that they were just gonna behead him right there.
Yes,
right
that's what I thought.
Because there was a warning. I don't know if you saw. There was a warning. Disney Plus always has the warnings in the top left, and it said warning. Brutal violence or depictions of brutal violence.
I must have missed
I'm assuming because of Paz.
Right.
But it said that, and I was like, oh, I can't remember if that's ever said that before.
Yeah.
And then he dropped to his knees, and they had him like tied up, and he was like this. I was like, oh my god, Jon Snow's about to come through with ice and take his head off. But then he gets kind of taken away to the debriefing or interrogation room or whatever it is, and that kind of makes the way for Paz Vizsla to move forward here into kind of protecting the other Mandalorians while they try to escape out the back. Also, another thing that we didn't mention is during the firefight, Axe Woves was able to get out of the cavern and escape to try and warn the others. Although if the armorer is up to no good, maybe it's too late for that anyways. But yeah, what were your kind of thoughts on Din getting captured, them escaping? What do you think is going to happen with Axe Woves? Could we see potentially Boba Fett come in here? I know Rick Famuyiwa definitely teased Boba Fett, because Rick Famuyiwa obviously directed.
I think that's definitely a possibility.
I would say for me, I think it's probably more than a possibility.
Probably given.
I think only because it'd be one thing to be like, well, the shows, the shows are kind of
They already intersected. And,
yeah, they already intersect, but also it's the personal. Really, honestly, one of the main complaints that I have about the show, that really looking back has been there since day one, but really this season it's really apparent. There's really just not much character work in this show, like at all. I would say this show is almost entirely absent of character work, to be honest. Especially when you compare it to something like Andor. But two of the best character building scenes in this entire Mandoverse so far was this episode with the beautiful, I would say, like almost Doctor Who sad melancholy moment of him giving that speech to Bo and saying, character, honor, these are the things that I care about. Your song is yet to be written, and I will be with you until it is. Like, I was damn. And then another one that made me feel that same way was in the Rick Famuyiwa episode of Boba Fett, where Din and Boba are kind of making their last stand in the cantina, and Din says to Boba, I will stay by your side until we both fall. And so they have that connection where Boba and Din have that connection where, Boba knows that Din, was there he was ready to die. I would say
you probably feel as though maybe Boba Fett owes Din a little bit.
Yeah, and I feel like probably Boba Fett feels like he owes Din a little bit because the guy was willing to put his life on the line for Boba, really for nothing else than to help him. So I feel like maybe we'll see that reciprocated. But let's talk a little bit about Paz as well, who, well, what do you I mean, you explain it. What do you think about Paz? How have you felt about this 3-season journey we've had with him, leading up to this, ultimate moment of major sacrifice, really, for the entire covert?
Yeah, that worked for me. I thought he was, him and his big giant Gatling gun, I think is really cool. And
which, as a Star Wars video game fan, I loved. This was the first ever overheat that we've seen.
Yes,
in live action.
When I was seeing it get hotter and hotter, I was like, here it goes. It's gonna it's gonna get overheat and all that other stuff.
He's gonna need to press X at the exact right time.
Right, exactly. I thought that was really cool. I thought those were some really good scenes showing, as soon as he runs out of that, he starts beating dudes up until, my favorite, of course, new and improved Imperial guards come in and just absolutely make easy work of him. Which
they
finally
murder him. They murder him.
Finally, they get to do something. Thank God.
Yeah.
The highlight before that was, Yoda in Revenge of the Sith pushing them away. And then Palpatine in Return of the Jedi says, leave us. They say, see ya. And obviously Last Jedi. But yeah, I liked him as a character. I liked seeing a kind of tank Mandalorian almost,
100%,
where he's, bigger and bulkier kind of guy. And, he's really sticking to what they're preaching, and I thought, I think however many episodes ago that was, his kind of speech saying, talking to Bo-Katan saying, we will fight with you and all that stuff. I thought that was awesome. So to see him kind of, like you said, sacrifice himself, I think that really, that works with what his character has been doing
specifically
recently.
For Bo.
Right, yeah.
Specifically
because he believes in what she's doing.
Yeah, because she says, there's a point in which, he can, he sees that everyone else has escaped, but she's staying behind for him. And, he could very easily have said, all right, let's go. But he knows even if he turns his back, he's not going to let her die. And that's a great character moment. And then also another thing that we got to talk about is Ragnar. He didn't even get to say goodbye to his dad. His dad's dead. We spent so much time building up their relationship and then just... But again, that's... To be fair to this show, that's another thing that I'm like... You can get any moment with Paz and his son. To be
Are we ever going to come back to the whole monster on Mandalorian? Or on Mandalore? Remember the thing that...
Yeah,
We
the
saw
mythosaur in the
the
second
mythosaur.
episode.
Yeah, what's gonna happen with that?
My worry is that next episode, Bo's gonna be like, "That's right, the mythosaur," and then like ride it into battle and take out Gideon and all. And I'm like, dude, if you can't, if it
That
took
would be
Boba
too
4
much. That'd be
episodes to
too
ride the
much.
Rancor, she should not just be hopping on that. I mean, I get
Yeah.
okay, she's Clan Kreese and they're, Mandalore through and through, but like, if she just hops on the mythosaur and's like, "Let's go, like let's ride," that would be a little too far for me. But I hope maybe they'll come. Maybe they just lead the mythosaur to this place, because I think, how do you get rid of this giant Imperial installation? A giant monster would probably help.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just hope that they don't rush it with that, because I really don't want like her to just all of a sudden Deus Ex Mythosaur, into this place and be like, "I saved the day." Especially if she knew it was down there and knew that she could maybe use it. Like, why didn't you use it earlier? I think that you just open yourself up to some issues. But yeah, I mean, the emotions of it, as I'll say straight up, as underdeveloped as Paz Vizsla was as a character, I still felt it. When he went. I still really felt it, and felt bad. And like I said, I'll use the M word. Like, they straight up murdered him. They stabbed him through the gut, up into the heart, down the shoulder, through the leg, and then pushed. Like they didn't just get him. They got him, and then all three of them went, "Ugh," and then pulled it out, and he just dropped, man. And that was just a great ending. But, we got Din captured, Grogu. Also, everything with Grogu's reaction to all that, I mean, it was just absolutely heartbreaking. You have these... He's going after Melu runs in the marketplace, and then 20 minutes later, we get this awful shot of him reacting to who, just like us, the audience, thought his dad was about to be killed right in front of him. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a real big step again in the right direction. But I saw one tweet that was like, this season has been... Act 1 was episodes 1 through 6. Act 2 was 7, and then Act 3 is 8. And it's like, episodes 1 through 6 should not be just the first act of your show. So maybe not a less episodes, but just spread it out more. Think about how much more time you could have gotten with Gideon and any of these people and everything. But last question here on Mandalorian, and then we will move on to Celebration. Next episode, season finale. Last episode of Star Wars television that we will get. We're getting Visions on May 4th, but the last episode of canon Star Wars television we're going to get before Ahsoka. Do we think that, whether it's post-credit or whatever, that Thrawn is showing up? Because remember, last season did end with a post-credit scene for Book of Boba Fett.
No. Oh, yeah, I guess maybe that's actually... Actually, I think maybe, yeah. I think post-credit scene Thrawn, then you get the full Thrawn experience in Ahsoka, probably.
Yeah.
Just because you speaking about that post-credit scene in Boba, that, that kind
of
tracks.
And I would not be surprised if it is just, think Rebels Season 3 trailer of Dark Shadows talking, and then just, boom, a step into the light, and then cut to black, Ahsoka, August 2023, something like that. But yeah, I think I would say 80% likely. In my opinion, I think whether it's in the actual episode or just in a post-credit scene, I would say pretty likely that we're going to get our first look at Thrawn next week. But that's our thoughts on The Mandalorian. Let us know what you thought so far about the season, about the show overall. Do you think that this week's episode is going to be the end of it? Are we even going to get a season 4? What do you think about rumors about Pedro not wanting to be in the show anymore? Do you think Din's leaving? Do you think that Din isn't the main character of the show anymore? Which, we could talk another hour about that. But let us know what you thought down below. And while you're down there, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with a Mandalorian fan or a Star Wars fan in general. But that will do it for Mandalorian. All right, so going through Celebration here. This one we can kind of jump around wherever you want to. But I do want to start with, did you get a chance to look at the trailer for Star Wars Visions Volume 2.
No, I didn't.
So, I got a chance to look at this trailer, which is online right now. I think it looks great. I think it looks even better than I guess they're calling them volumes, so I'll try to use that versus season. But I thought it looked even better than the first kind of grouping of episodes. I think you and I were probably equally mixed. I think there was some super high highs of visions, and then some ones that were just like, okay, yeah, that was good. Like I thought particularly the Ronin, the Elder, those one David Harbour and everything like that. But then there was other ones that were, like Tatooine Rhapsody about like the rock band on Tatooine. That was like, it was a cool little look into these people's lives. This like 15-minute look into these people's lives on Tatooine. This looks much more.
The first one, and then the other one that you had recommended to me, that you said was good.
Oh yeah. The Elder.
With the Elder, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that one was really, really good. Those are probably the two. And I will say it doesn't look like in this second batch that we're getting any sequels. So I think a lot of people were hoping for that. That we would maybe get continuations of some of these. But it looks like maybe they're just entirely staying away from that. I could be wrong though. Maybe I don't know, but I would like maybe in a third one, because also this is all animation, so they've been working on it for years and years. So maybe in a third batch of Visions, we'll get some tie-ins to some previous ones. But I thought the trailer looked great. I really liked the what's the company called? Aardman. The guys behind Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep, everything like that. That one is called I Am Your Mother. That one looks really, really good. Canon ties to that is Dennis Lawson is actually going to be back as Wedge Antilles in that short. So that'll be cool. Getting Wedge Antilles in an episode of Star Wars Visions was not something that I was anticipating, but I'm very happy about. Yeah, I just thought it looked really, really great. But let's move on here. What did you think of the Ahsoka trailer? I talked about this on the live show. I also did a trailer reaction, but I want to get your thoughts on this. We got Ray Stevenson, tons of stuff. Thrawn, tons of stuff. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought the Ahsoka trailer was fucking awesome. Really excited for the show. Excited to see Thrawn. Excited to see, obviously Rosario Dawson coming back as Ahsoka. And see some Rebels characters as well. Did we know Mary Elizabeth Winstead was playing Hera? Was that known?
We knew that she was in the show, and it was like, who else would she be playing? So I think it was like, enough, I don't even think it was like Jeff Snyder's reporting that it was just kind of like, I mean, that would make a lot of sense. And then they confirmed it. So I think it was just kind of like assumed.
Yeah. And also cool to see Sabine, obviously, as well in live action.
Dude, I'll tell you, man, Sabine for me is the highlight of the trailer. Yeah. I mean, I will say this straight up. She looks phenomenal. I mean, how she looks translated from animation, but also like, I just think that the look of the character, like I like the long. There was some discourse about like, why does Sabine have long hair?
This fucking hair. Who cares?
She's a veteran. She just fought in a war with the Rebel Alliance for 5 years. I think she's entitled to grow her hair out a little bit. But I thought that she just looked fantastic. We got a quick shot of Ezra in hologram form. And then also another thing I want to get your thoughts on, live action Lothal. I mean, that looks so cool. I mean, the literal recreated shots from the end of Rebels, which was very, very cool. But yeah, what are some other things that you liked about it?
Well, of course, seeing Thrawn from the back I thought was cool. I hope they kind of save that reveal of granted, maybe we'll see it end of Mandalorian post-credit, but I did kind of hope maybe they would save that whole kind of reveal of what he looks like actually for maybe the show, which I think would be cool. Very interested to see what's his name? What's the actor's name?
Ray Stevenson?
Ray Stevenson, yeah, what his character is. Yeah. Now, I think you made a good point to me today earlier. I think it could be some sort of maybe from a previous time type whatever he is, Jedi, Sith, etc. I don't know. Or I've heard there's like, I believe there's talk of like dark Jedi, right? Is that the correct term?
Yeah, so I mean technically in canon there is until now really no such thing as Dark Jedi, but that would
Right.
be what they would be. I mean,
Right.
and also
I mean,
there's the whole,
but they've also been pulling some of that stuff recently. I feel
yeah.
like just bringing some of that non-canon stuff in. So
Yeah,
I
so
think
like if
that's
you
a
look
very
at
good
him
possibility.
here, like just looking at him there, first of all, you got what's going on. Are they in the world between worlds? You got the familiar backdrop there from Rebels, the orange lightsaber. Also, if you look at the
Shout
hilt
out
of his
Orange.
lightsaber,
Yep.
the hilt of his lightsaber looks, almost stone-like, as does his shoulder pads here. He just kind of looks like
He almost looks like he
something
gives
we've
me
never seen before.
he gives me Knight of the Crusades vibe from like the Last
Exactly.
Crusade.
Yeah, he's like the Black Knight that
Yeah.
gets all of his limbs cut off in Monty Python. Like,
Oh, or that, yep.
he looks he just there's just something about him that I think you and me and really everybody that saw this trailer, there's just something like primal about looking at him that feels like he's out of place. And so
And now
what
you
I said to
notice,
you,
obviously, we're looking just at this image, and people
Yeah.
have said this before. The background kind of looks like I forget
World
what that
Between
space
Worlds.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
from the Rebels episodes.
Yeah, and also something I'm just noticing now because I've been playing the game so much. Doesn't this over here to the left kind of look like a doorway or a stone like monument from Fallen Order? I like that line with the circle in it. I feel like we see that a lot throughout that game. So maybe yeah. So as I said, and full credit to Alex Damon over at Star Wars Explained, because his video is what really made me think about it. Is people have been saying he looks so out of place, he must be from the unknown regions, which I think could still totally be the case. But if they are in the world between worlds, what if him and the other character whose name is Shin, the other what we are assuming is his Padawan, perhaps? What if they're not just from a place out of normal, but what if they're from a time out of normal? A time that from the past. I think it's very possible. Like you said, he's got that kind of Knights of the Round Table kind of crusade look. Again, his armor looks like stone-like almost. So I'll be very, very interested to kind of see where things go with him. But yeah, let's see what else here. Oh, what do you think about Professor Huyang coming back? David Tennant. We got the droid from Clone Wars. That,
I'll be honest, I completely forgot like who that was. So to me, it was like, oh
fair.
yeah,
yeah, that's fair. I mean, he was only in the one what was it? The Ilum arc, the Gathering with the younglings. But he's a character that we know.
Is that the one when Yoda takes him to like gather their
crystals,
cyber crystals?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So his role is he's the droid that accompanies every group of younglings on Ilum. And then also I think it's very interesting and not at all to me coincidental that Ilum is a very big part of the first Fallen Order game. And people said when that game came out, why isn't Huyang on the planet? Where's Huyang? Well, now we see he's on Lothal somehow. So what's been going on there? Rosario Dawson did make kind of an ambiguous comment about in Mandalorian, we assume that she's been working alone all this time, but maybe the Ahsoka series will show more that maybe she has been working with some people. So I wouldn't be surprised if we find out that maybe Huyang has been with her for a little bit longer than we maybe expected. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Just a really, really fantastic trailer overall. I'm sure if we missed anything, is there anything else that you want to shout out about the trailer before we move on?
Mon Mothma, get more of her.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
I have the trailer, watch the trailer right now, so it's
I didn't even remember that. Also, I will just say, quick shout out here. I think that her Montrails look fantastic. I kind of had to do a side-by-side because Rosario Dawson made a big point on the panel to be like, and they are longer, and they are bigger, and we've heard you, and we know that they were too short, and all this stuff.
Is that like a thing that people were complaining about?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And Mandalorian people were, like, losing their mind. That being said, I was like, yeah, but like, what are you gonna do? It's the same thing with the Grand Inquisitor. Why does his
Yeah.
head look like that? They look so good in episode 3.
That's animation.
The guy in episode 3 had to go
Oh,
like
in
this.
episode 3.
The
Oh wait,
Grand
episode
Inquisitor.
3.
Yeah, so the on Utapau, the guy's on the same species as the Grand Inquisitor.
Oh.
Where he goes.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And everybody always says that. They're always like, it looks so great in live action. Why does his head shape look like that? And it's like, the guys in episode 3 literally talk to Obi-Wan like this.
They did do that.
The Grand Inquisitor's flipping and doing, you
We
can't
are
have a
being
giant
held
prosthetic.
hostage.
Yeah. Is he bringing additional warriors? He didn't say. What a great movie. If you have dentists, now is the time. Anyways, that being said, though, on the notion of the Grand Inquisitor, I think all of these translations that we've seen from Rebels to live action have been absolutely incredible. Maybe a notable person that we didn't see in this trailer is Zeb, who we know we saw earlier this season of Mandalorian, so we know he's on the table to be brought into that series. I would be fucking gobsmacked if Zeb does not show up in this show. But that being said, worth mentioning, we did not see him in the trailer. He was not even in the trailer that they showed at Celebration. So still no real confirmation on him showing up, but like I said, I would be so surprised. Let me go to the chat real quick here. Michelle says, I am so excited for Ahsoka. I just feel like I've watched her and all the Rebels grow up. LOL. Now seeing them together is amazing. Yeah, I mean, really, we've really gotten to see Ahsoka kind of flourish and mature really 3 times now, because we saw her go from a literal child to a young adult from the beginning of Clone Wars up to the Siege of Mandalore. Then we got to see her go, from a kind of hero in the shadows to a rebel leader in Rebels, and now we're seeing her as this kind of we don't really know what to make of her, honestly, at this point in the Mandoverse, but we know she's out there trying to either put together the Jedi Order again. Is this before or after she met up with Luke? I think it's interesting to find out. But and then she also said Ahsoka's Montrals look so much better now. Yeah, I do think that they look better. But anything else on the Ahsoka trailer?
Nope.
All right, so next up, I want to get your thoughts on. Everybody always went, well, the big problem with Star Wars is they didn't have a plan. Anybody who's out there can work out who I'm talking about. This was revealed at Star Wars Celebration, which I thought was a very good sign to me. And that is this official timeline that, we've had kind of this timeline floating around, usually at the beginning of books. Canon novels would usually have a timeline that sort of looks like this, to tell you kind of where it's taking place in the lore. But really, the main ones that we knew previously was the High Republic, obviously has been going for quite a few years now in publishing. The Fall of the Jedi, obviously we're familiar with that, it's prequels. Reign of the Empire, that's going to be your Andor, your Bad Batch, your Obi-Wan Kenobi, Age of Rebellion, original trilogy, New Republic, Mandoverse, everything like that. Rise of the First Order, obviously sequel trilogy. And then the 2 big new ones, because they originally showed this without the 2 on the end, and then they did this, well, how about these 2? And then they expanded it. And we'll just roll this right into talking about the movies here, and we'll go with the first one. They expanded it to the left, going further into the past than the Old Republic, to the Dawn of the Jedi. And that is going to be the movie that James Mangold is going to be writing and directing, set 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. He described it as a, quote, biblical epic, in the vein of Ben-Hur, the 10 Commandments, etc. And then just going through, talking about each of these, and then we'll go into our thoughts on it. Next one is going to be the Filoni movie. Dave Filoni officially writing and directing his own Star Wars movie. The Apprentice now becomes the Master. basically going to be set in 10 ABY in the New Republic era here, basically wrapping up the story threads, the big events that have been taking place in the quote Mandoverse. So that's going to be the Ahsoka show, Skeleton Crew, Book of Boba Fett, and the Mandalorian. And then the last one extending out the farthest we've ever gone into the future. And that actually goes for something that's interesting. This movie is actually going to be set the furthest ahead in the timeline that we've ever gone, whether in canon or in Legends, because actually Legends, some of the latest stuff they ever went to, dealing with Han's kids and then, grandkids and Luke's grandkids and everything, was actually in 45 ABY. So this movie is going to be set in 50 ABY. So 40 years after the events of The Mandalorian, 15 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker, and that is going to be the Jermaine Obeid Chinoy movie, which is going to be previously written by Damon Lindelof, now being written by Stephen Knight, who obviously wrote and created Peaky Blinders. And this is going to be the movie about Rey setting up the new Jedi Order and facing whatever challenges may come with that. So what are your kind of thoughts on overall these movie announcements, this timeline announcement? Because I think they did do a pretty wise thing, which is they didn't come out with a big Marvel timeline of here's the logos and here's the release dates. They said, here's the Star Wars timeline. This is going to be the timeline and the eras, and we can always expand it and get, more, kind of split the atom even finer in the future. But for right now, here are where these stories could take place. So how did you kind of feel about the overall timeline way to kind of announce these things? Then what do you think of these three individual movie projects that were announced? And do you think they're even going to happen?
Yeah. No, I think they did something correct. Is they didn't, like you said, didn't do any of those logos or anything. It said, hey, we're going to be working in these kind of time periods. Here are the three movies. No guarantees. We're not giving you any. I don't know if they gave any concrete dates or any of those, or they gave you some like kind of maybe year span or something like that when they're going to come out. But I think they did, exactly what they should do and should continue to do going forward. I am excited for all these movies. I think the James Mangold one is very interesting, just to see the dawn of the Jedi, how they started, with what he was describing with, what were the movies he compared him to? Ben-Hur, and what was the other one?
Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments.
Yeah, that's very interesting. James Mangold, very good track record so far in all of his movies, so I'm excited to see what he's got going on. Dave Filoni, obviously, he's gonna, I believe his movie will kind of tie up the whole Mandalorian story, which should be very interesting. Does it end with, Din dying or something? Maybe we get something. We get finally Grogu going somewhere. Does he appear in the other one, the other movie?
People have been talking about that as well. He'll be 100.
Movie with Daisy Ridley.
Yeah.
And that movie, that movie, I'm excited for too. Again, none of the actors were the issue in the sequel trilogy. It was the story, long form story that they were trying to tell and just couldn't tell. Yeah. So obviously nice to have Daisy Ridley back. I think, I really like Rey as a character.
I want to know how many zeros were on that check.
Yeah, would not be shocked to see a John Boyega return. Maybe you give him his, what everybody thought was going to be his Jedi, which didn't turn out to be a Jedi for some reason. Maybe we get, what do you want to tell Rey? Maybe we finally get that answer.
Rey, I know it's been 15 years, but I got to tell you what I was going to tell you in that sand trap. JJ told me it's okay to say it now.
And maybe, I don't know. Maybe do they lean again more into that? Do they go into the whole she's taking the Skywalker name, but she still obviously is a Palpatine. Do you just kind of try to leave that behind? I'm very interested to see if they kind of try to dive into that more. Maybe trying to, there's two sides pulling, and or you just kind of, you know, you go, that was before, we're gonna go on a new type of thing. But yeah, John Boyega I think is, you know, very high possibility, depending, you know, on the size of the check, I'd say, because he has made it very clear he does not want to come back, which I don't really blame him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought, you know, these announcements were exciting. Hopefully, again, like you said, they happen. I think they will happen. But yeah, excited to see that new movies get announced.
Yeah, 100%. And going off of, I'll jump on what you said about Finn too. Is I think with John, and of course, completely rightfully so. I mean, he can make whatever decision he wants. He can choose to do or not do whatever he wants to do. Because I mean, it should go to no, you know, however unhappy he was, he still got that. He still got the money. So he's been looking at. They've been talking about doing maybe Attack the Block 2. You know, could there be another Pacific Rim movie for him in the future? And then some other things. I thought that he was fucking phenomenal in Breaking last year, which was just an amazing movie. That was the one about the him as the bank robber, where it was dealing with him, you know, not getting his VA money and everything. I thought he was amazing in that movie. So you know, he's doing fine too. But I think, to get to what I'm getting at, I think as much as the money matters to him, and will influence him, I think, you know, in real life, him and Daisy are incredibly close friends. And I think that if she feels, because also it's important to note, this is not the Daisy Ridley and John Boyega that went into the sequel trilogy. This is not one movie each under their belt. They are mega stars. They are mega stars. They are mega celebrities. They are powerhouses. They can demand and command, you know, certain things. He can say, hey, I will come back, but I want in my contract that, you know, you are not going to jerk me around with the scripts and the storytelling and everything. But also, I think to him, one of the most important things is if Daisy goes to him and says, listen, they've really got it this time. You know, we're really getting into this thing. You know, I want you to be there with me. I think that that's what's going to sway him more than anything else. And I think it would be a great shame if you have a movie about Rey and the New Jedi Order, and who's most likely her best friend and first student isn't in the movie. You know, I think that would be a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah.
And also, I say first student, but it's been 15 years. He would definitely be, you know, a teacher at this point. You know, and I think that's it would be a huge missed opportunity to not bring Finn back. But, you know, and then there's people like Poe and everything. You know, you don't have to bring Poe back for this kind of Jedi movie. Maybe if you ever do Rogue Squadron, see if Oscar Isaac wants to come back for that. You know, like, I think you can really separate.
Well, it depends on the other house.
Yeah, exactly. I love that when he said that. He was like, you know, well, if they call, you know. Listen, man, he takes whatever Marvel check they're throwing at him that year. So it makes sense if he comes back one day. But
I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, just talking about real quick. I know I talked about them a little bit already on the live stream. The day that Celebration was last week, but having sat with it for a week and everything, I would say I think the one I'm most excited for probably is the Obeyed Shinoy movie with Rey. It probably is, because I really like Rey as a character. Like TJ said, the actors were not the issue with those movies. Without a doubt, the actors were not the issue with those movies. And so I'm excited to kind of see her get another crack at this, and I'm excited to hopefully see John Boyega get another crack at it. But also, I'm really excited to explore this time period, everything like that. And then I'd probably say my second most anticipated movie, if it were to happen, would be the Mangold one, because it's just, I mean, there's nothing more interesting than saying, let's see what this story looks like in a time we've never ever seen it before. And then I'd say probably my third most anticipated one is probably the Filoni movie, which I never would have thought I'd say, but it's like we're living in that story right now. So I'm not like clamoring for like, oh, I gotta see that Mandoverse movie, because we're living in the Mandoverse right now. You know, we're getting Dave Filoni directing the Mandoverse sometimes multiple weeks a year. So yeah, I would say that. Before we move on from the movies, I just gave my quick. I would say number one, I'm interested in the Rey movie, then probably the Mangled one, then the Filoni one. But what do you think? What's kind of your most anticipated out of those three?
Yeah, I'd probably go Mangled, Rey, Filoni, just because, like you said, Filoni, we're kind of seeing that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the Filoni one is more like, okay, we know he can direct and write these characters in live action. What's it going to look like when he really truly steps up into the big ring? It's more the Filoni one is more about the interesting factor, or the curiosity factor is about, can he work at that scale, not can he work. You know what I mean? We know he can work. So it's like, that's why I'd probably put that as my number three, just because like it's kind of a known quantity. We know that Dave's gonna hit it out of the park. It's just how far is he gonna hit it out of the park? All right, let's run some quick news stories, or quick updates, I would say, on some projects that didn't get public trailers or anything like that. Acolyte, people loved the footage. They showed a full trailer for that. Lots of stuff heating up with Acolyte, with Amanda Steinberg and everything. Andor Season 2, they released a trailer for. Again, this is just Celebration only. That's most likely going to finish filming in a couple of months here, and then will most likely be released in August of 2024, 2 years after Season 1. Skeleton Crew also got a lot of footage and a trailer shown, because, again, Skeleton Crew is pretty fast approaching here, coming out, after Ahsoka at the end of this year. And then Visions, we kind of already talked about. So just talking about Acolyte and/or Skeleton Crew, those three kind of. What did you feel about just some of the news that was coming out? People really happy with the footage of all three of those. All three of them kind of having this very different tone to one another. What do you think about these three projects that are kind of a little bit further out on the horizon?
Yeah, I'm excited about basically all three. Honestly, the most I know the least about Acolyte, but I'm the most excited for it, just to see more of the kind of rise of the dark side of the Force type thing. Yeah. And that looks really cool. I love the cast. I think that was like fully announced, right? Like, we didn't know again who the cast was until it was announced at Celebration, correct?
I think
we knew some people, maybe.
Yeah,
they did. I saw
like
Carrie
what they
Moss.
did with
I forgot
Obi-Wan. They put out that like cast grid on Instagram.
Yeah.
But that's it. But then they announced the full cast and who they're playing.
Right.
They also announced that Jonas Swadimo, who played Chewie in the sequel trilogy, is going to be playing a Wookiee Jedi in Acolyte. So he's going to be coming back. And then Skeleton Crew, kind of the main thing that we got from that is that it's really that Amblin, E.T., Goonies kind of vibe. Gremlins type, kids. Like, yeah, that it's about kids, but not for like kids,
specifically tailored to kids, right?
Yeah, and people said, I heard a lot of people that saw that footage and they were like, the trailer does not mince words. Those kids, if they don't play their cards right, will die. Like, they are in a very treacherous situation. So I'm very excited to get that trailer. I'm excited for Jude Law to have his own Star Wars thing, but I'm kind of more excited for the story on Skeleton Crew, because, that sounds pretty scary. Getting lost in the Star Wars galaxy is for kids. That could be pretty scary. And then Andor, of course. Andor, everybody's, we know what Andor is. It's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, season 2. Are you surprised by that?
Of
ending
Andor
with season 2, just like ending with season 2.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I was surprised about it, but also it just feels like they said, hey, we could write 5 seasons of this, 1 year per thing, but I think it's like we said with should Bad Batch be less episodes? Should Mando be less episodes? If Tony Gilroy says, hey, I think we can get across everything we need to get across by doing 3 episodes per year. Yeah. Do a 3-episode arc is 1 year, then another year, then another year, then another year, and then boom, series finale is Rogue One. So on that level, I think it'll be great. I have no doubts about that show whatsoever. I think it looks fantastic. Michelle in chat just brought something up. It's great. I'm looking forward to Acolyte to see Daphne Keene again. I haven't really seen her since Logan. Absolutely. I would say Daphne Keene has, it's kind of crazy. She really did not disappear. She's been on that show, His Dark Materials, the Golden Compass show on HBO for like 5 years. She's been the series lead on an HBO show, but I don't watch that show with her and James McAvoy. So
right, yeah.
I don't really, I haven't been paying attention to her work really. But I'm very excited to see Daphne Keene in this again. We know she can do the physical stuff. We know that she can do the great acting. So super excited to see her in that. All right, last bit of Celebration news here, which, is very timely for both of us because, well, all of us really, because we just unfortunately said goodbye to the season 2 finale of the show. But the Bad Batch panel was the very last panel of Celebration. Started with a great panel full of news and everything, and ended with a great panel full of news and everything. Actually, before we talk about Bad Batch real quick, Tales of the Jedi Season 2 official. What are your thoughts? What are some of your hopes? Who do you want to see? I said I think something that would be really interesting. Give me Ezra. What does Ezra look like in the Clone Wars style?
Give me something with maybe. Man, I'm just spitballing.
What if they did like Yaddle and Dooku or something? That would
can
be
you
so
give
cool.
me maybe a Cal story somewhere? Maybe this 5-year gap. Can you do that?
Oh, that would be so good.
Because again, there's a 5-year gap between these games, so I don't know what he's been doing during that time.
I'm listening to Battle Scars right now, which is the book that covers. They say read what happens to bridge the first game to the second game. It bridges part of the gap. It definitely does not cover the entire 5-year gap from the first game to the second game. But yeah, I think that is a great pick. But I think, my mind's going to Ezra, your mind's going to Cal. I think easily everybody agrees, not that the Ahsoka episodes were bad. I think the Ahsoka episodes were, 2 of them were good, 1 of them was phenomenal. But all 3 of the Dooku ones were phenomenal. All 3 of the Dooku ones were some of the best animated Star Wars we've gotten in a while. So I think going to some of these places that we haven't explored that much, like Cal Kestis, like Ezra Bridger, obviously we've explored Ezra Bridger, but I mean, like, since this show will come out after Ahsoka, maybe we can find out, a little adventure that Ezra had that we never knew about. Another one that I think would be great. You know who would actually be great from Fallen Order? Give me Eno Cordova investigating the Zepho. Give me that. Give me Seer's Master. We only see him in holograms in the game, but what was his journey like? Stuff like that. Or even, let's get some High Republic going. What about Luke Skywalker? Heard of him? Just as a personal pick, I wouldn't, the first season, they spent 3 episodes on Ahsoka, a character we already know a lot about. I wouldn't mind 3 episodes on Anakin Skywalker. I know he's gotten a little bit of content over the years, but I wouldn't mind some more. But super excited for Tales of the Jedi Season 2. That's really great. But then circling back here to the last thing, Bad Batch Season 3, kind of a big shock here. 3rd and final season of the Bad Batch. So we know officially that the Bad Batch will be ending most likely next year, I would assume. I think the animation has a long turnover time, so season 3 is probably has been well into production for years at this point. So when do you think we're going to see this? How do you feel about this coming to a close with the 3rd season? What do you kind of think? What do you think about Bad Batch coming to a close?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Again, both of us, more me, probably in the 2nd season, we're kind of in and out. I'd say
no filler in this one, man.
Yeah, no filler. It better not be. Season 3. Better not solve this problem in 1 episode, and then we just get another 10 episodes of a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the right call. But I am excited. The last 2 episodes, Season 2 were really good.
Last 5 episodes, brother.
Okay, last 5.
Since that Crosshair one. They just
oh yeah, okay. Yes. That is true.
They all blend together though because they're so short. It's like,
I mean, the island
it's hard
one,
to
I was
keep
like,
track.
yeah, it was good, but I was like,
Yeah, that was like the
Uh,
calm before the storm.
yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm assuming maybe does this lead into something else? Maybe did
I mean,
they
I would
have
assume
another
so.
show
I
on
think
deck?
So again, I think it's important to point out, and everybody's been pointing this out, is Dave Filoni gets a lot of credit for the Bad Batch, where he is the executive producer and he did create those characters, but Jennifer Corbett is the showrunner. She is the showrunner that runs that show, does the bulk of the writing, everything like that. And so I watched the full Bad Batch panel, and she made some remark that was like, so this season will close out this part of the storytelling. So, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Clone Wars led directly into this. There's been rumors of maybe once Bad Batch ends, we're going to get a Rex, Wolf, and Gregor show to lead right into Rebels. I think that's also likely. I think we could definitely see, not necessarily, maybe we see Omega and Hunter and Wrecker and Crosshair, maybe they do settle down on Pabu once everything is resolved. But then, there's still clones out there fighting the fight and everything. And I feel like it's just such a gold mine to just keep going with these clones, because it's just the further we get into this Imperial era, the more questions I have about what happens to these guys. So I think you could definitely see that. But yeah, so that's it for really the kind of announcements. I just want to take a quick second. I know you didn't have a lot of time to check out the panels and everything. Like, I really didn't either. I was, staying up way too late and getting up way too early to watch all of this stuff. But I got to say, last Celebration, I mean, I did an exact opposite rant about how there was really nothing for the people at home. Very disappointing on the news front for last year. This year, I felt almost the complete opposite way. We got they revealed that the main big panels will not be streamed.
Right. Yeah.
Which was a huge disappointment last year. This year, I felt like because there was so much news to talk about, I felt okay that the main panel wasn't streamed. And then I was sending you those clips of the interviews from the stage. Some of those interviews were going for 20 or 30 minutes. So I was like, hey, I'm kind of okay. I'm liking the at-home experience. They're clipping out every one of these interviews with all these celebrities, creators, directors, writers, with whether it's James Mangold, hearing him talk about his Star Wars movie. I felt like they really turned it around with the amount of news and the amount of content that there was to watch for people at home. So I'll just say that's my last bit on Celebration there, is that I think they really struck a good balance this year of keeping it really special for the people that were there, but also not fully, entirely disappointing the people that were left at home. And then obviously the last announcement they made was that the next one will be in 2025 in Japan. So I'd be interested to know if maybe they stream the bigger panels for that one, just because it is going to be harder for so many people in the States, to get over there. But either way, that'll wrap it on Star Wars Celebration. We're at an hour and a half here. I want to get into this HBO Max stuff a little bit here. Basically, this has been a long time coming with the Warner Brothers Discovery merger, David Zaslav taking over.
Whoa.
Writing off things for tax cuts, Batgirl getting canceled. I mean, just tons of shit. Stuff getting ripped off of the platform seemingly for no reason, at random for tax reasons, and blah, 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 blah. Yesterday was kind of the big coming out party for what is now called Max. And, they released a bunch of trailers. One of the biggest trailers that I was hyped for was this trailer for Park Chan-wook's new show, The Sympathizer, which I forget the main lead's name, but the biggest name in that is, of course, Robert Downey Jr. It's one of his biggest, I'll say, acting gigs since he's been kind of taking a post-MCU break. Obviously, not counting, he's got Oppenheimer, which, might be a big movie. coming out very soon. But you know, he looked great in that. But then at the end of that trailer, they were like, coming in 2024. So like, you know, they showed the trailer for True Detective Night Country with Jodie Foster. I thought that looked really, really good.
I haven't watched it yet. I gotta watch it.
Definitely check it out after this. If we had more time, I would pull it up.
Have you watched season 1?
Season 1?
Yeah.
I have 2 episodes I have to finish.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you started it.
Yeah, because I think like 3 months ago at this point. But yeah, I have to finish that. It's just with Succession and then Barry and then
right, yeah.
Oh my God, I feel like once Mando is over, and I'm only dealing with Succession and Barry, I'll be able to dive more into catching up on True Detective. But then I would say the second biggest thing that came out of this is the Penguin footage. Which did you get a chance to take a look at that?
Didn't watch that either.
So I'm interested.
Okay.
Because obviously I'm interested in the Penguin show.
Right.
But I'm interested because they called it a in production teaser, and that's really what it felt like. It was a couple of finished shots intercut with, then you would like see something and you'd be like, oh, that looks cool, and then there'd be like a boom mic in the shot. And you'd be like, oh, this is just behind the scenes. And then there would be another shot that was like a finished shot. And then there would be another shot that had like somebody holding up a big light. And you'd be, and it was like this kind of weird, like, mix of a featurette and a teaser.
I'm seeing what you're saying.
Yeah, it was just this kind of like weird mesh. So like it got me excited, but also I was like, I feel like almost you could have held off showing anything until you were really ready to go with the trailer. Mm-hmm. It just felt kind of weird. And then obviously the big thing is the official confirmation that a full 7-season order
no.
at Max. You good? You're good.
Keep talking.
Okay. Obviously the biggest announcement was the full 7-season order. Nova's trying to get the wires. Oh my God, it's crazy how big that dog has gotten. Absolutely insane. I was just saying it's crazy how big Nova's gotten.
Trying to eat my Ethernet cords.
Yeah. So obviously full 7-season order for Harry Potter, making a lot of headlines and headaches across the globe, including my own. But I don't know. Why don't you just take it? I mean, we got this teaser, 30 seconds long. Same castle, same logo, same John Williams score.
You're not hyped?
Really don't know.
I'm hyped. Let's go. Here we go, ladies and gents. Harry Potter, the reboot season per book announced at Max. Don't know if you talked about the whole Max thing.
You missed the best part, though.
What?
Didn't you hear? Zaslav said, don't worry, this one's going to be a faithful
adaptation. Oh, I heard about that.
This one will be a faithful adaptation. Don't worry about those other movies that the company I run made. Forget them. I mean, these ones are the real ones. This is going to be great. Like,
here's what I'll say. I'm against this just for the simple fact that I really love those movies and I love the people who play them. I'm not saying that you can't reboot Harry Potter. I'm not saying it's impossible. But again, when I think you're rebooting them into, and I get, we've tried Fantastic Beasts. We've tried to expand the world and it failed, obviously. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe that wasn't the story to go with. Maybe you start with a different series. Maybe you don't reboot the books as a show. And maybe you tried to get the 3 back and you couldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. I'm still interested in this, but I don't think it'll be as much of a success as maybe they're thinking it's going to be. And you know, you already know the people that get cast as these characters is going to get like an ungodly amount of hate on Twitter,
so
online.
Unfair to whoever
really
those
gonna
kids
suck
are.
for them. Yes.
And those kids are probably right now like 8 years old.
And
it's like it's gonna be like the previous generation of kids were so lucky that didn't. I mean, and it did happen to them.
Yeah,
but
like Daniel Radcliff and Emma Watson and Rupert Grint didn't grow up in this social. Like they didn't when they were cast. They weren't. There wasn't Twitter.
And there wasn't the immense passion behind it like there was with Jake Lloyd. And I really worry that this new series, taking my personal feelings about it aside and everything about J.K. Rowling and everything that everyone is saying about all of the obvious stuff with this, those kids are going to be like Jake Lloyd times 10. I mean, they are going to get, no matter what happens, they are going to get raked over the coals to no fault of their own. And
especially if it's bad.
And I think that this, I think this is good, but, they're gonna make it more inclusive. They're gonna go the cursed child route. They've already said, I think Jeff Snyder has said that they really, really want a black female lead for Hermione, which, that's cursed child is
is that big what they do in the book or something?
No, in Cursed Child, Hermione is black. So that was like a big thing at the time. They were like, why is Hermione black? But now it sounds like they're just like, well, that interpretation already exists, so let's go with that. And I totally more power to them. But the way that this fucking world works, I mean, these kids are gonna get destroyed, and it's like, I was texting you, and I was doing all caps texts and blowing up to my coworkers about this yesterday, and just fuming. And now I'm just so already just so resigned to. I sent you a couple tweets that was like, somebody was like, pay this no mind. This is fall of the Holy Roman Empire type shit. This is never going to see the light of day. Somebody said, 7 series order. And then they put a picture of the Dark Universe. And it was like,
7 seasons. How about we go with 1 first and see how it is.
I mean, me, you know how much these, and I know you love these movies too and everything, but I will just sit for weeks at a time. I'll just be in a Harry Potter mood and I will watch every documentary that there is, everything. And the amount of blood, sweat, and tears and really just making those movies and getting through them all by the skin of their teeth, including the studio. It's not a simple task to just be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna make them again. We're just gonna taking all the stupidity out of this, of you're gonna redesign the castle, right? Because it's a reboot to give it a fresh look. Well, no, because all the theme parks look like that, so we'll just keep it the same castle. Okay, well, Thestrals and hippogriffs and stuff, you're gonna redesign the creatures and stuff to get. Well, no, because we have the video game and it kind of looks, so why don't you just keep those? Okay, no problem. Well, there's people, Michael Giacchino, all these people, there's some great composers out there. No, let's stick with the John Williams stuff. We're going to stick with the John Williams stuff, and the logo, and the castle. And you know what? Michael Gambon's still around. Let's just stick with him as Dumbledore.
Hey, I'd be all for that. You got me there.
You don't even have to say that twice, man. Michael, I am sorry. I love Richard Harris. I know we've talked about this before, but man, Michael Gambon, to me, I'm sorry. I don't have the he's not whimsical enough. I don't care. I fucking love Michael Gambon as Dumbledore. I love Jude Law as Dumbledore. I love Richard Harris as Dumbledore. I love all 3 of those Dumbledores equally. But taking the stupidity aside, it was a Herculean task to get those 8 movies made. And the notion that you're just going to wave your hand and go, oh, we'll just make them again, but even longer and even more, even bigger budgets. This company that, couldn't afford to release any movies last year.
It's not like the movies didn't make any money.
It's the 3rd most successful franchise of all time. The last movie made $1 billion.
For me, it just seems like again, I don't have a problem with
And
there
it came
being a
out
reboot.
10 years ago.
Right. Like I think that's when the last one came out, right?
Yeah.
2011 was
Mhm.
Deathly Hallows Part 2. That is what it is for me. It's like they're still relevant. It's not like I said I think last
That's the
week.
word.
They didn't
That's the
come
right
out
word.
in the 50s. You
Somebody
know, they're
put
very
the
recent movies for a lot of people. And again, I just think you can do more with this universe than just going back to the well. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Why
Yeah.
don't we take I haven't played the game, you have. Can you take a story from Hogwarts Legacy and make that into a show?
You could
I'm sure
make
you
the
can.
exact same story of Hogwarts Legacy that one school year. That story is so rich and dense. You could make 4 seasons out of it. You could make you could make a summer, fall, spring, or summer. If I can remember the seasons, you can make 4 seasons be the 4 seasons of the school year. 100%. Here,
Now,
I don't know, maybe
well,
the
real quick.
Marauders series that people have been asking for 11 years.
Yeah.
Anything.
Full disclosure, because my curiosity, it's gonna get the best of me. So I will be checking it out, and I'm not gonna say, if they make season 2, 3, 4, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna watch it if it's good. But it just seems like it. Will it drive subscribers maybe to the service? Maybe. Do people that care about do people that care about Harry Potter not have HBO already? Will this make them go and buy it? Possibly. I don't know. It just seems, and again, it's not like it's going to theaters. So how else are you going to make money with this? That's the other thing with these big budget you're talking about.
It just makes no sense.
It's to me, like, to me, it's a little.
It's pie in the sky. Like it really just comes down to that for me. It's just the like. I don't know if you want to say it's arrogance or hubris or just like bullheadedness of just being like, oh yeah, we're gonna do them again but longer, and we're just gonna do that, and we're gonna order 7 seasons of it. You cancel shows at HBO, because the ratings dipped a little bit. You're canceling shows that are getting good ratings for the tax write-off. I saw somebody, one of the tweets just said like, I don't know why everybody's getting so worked up. This show's going to be canceled halfway through making Chamber of Secrets when they can't afford the big snake. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, like I saw that, and it's just, and then it's also just this, just like I said, comes back to all the stupidity of this stuff. Okay, so you're gonna make a better Voldemort than Ralph Fiennes. You're gonna make a better Snape than Alan Rickman. And I'll name him by name. Somebody that you and I both watched, John Roca, and a bunch of other people. Have compared this to like James Bond. Like, well, we have so many James Bonds. We've had so many Batmans. 100% we have. The difference is, Batman is a comic book that has had 80 years of interpretations before anything was ever live action. This is 7 books. This is the same 7 books with the same descriptions and the same characters and the same setting and the same events and the same everything. And also, by the way, you're not just recasting James Bond 25 times. You're recasting 800 characters. You're recasting 800 characters. That's what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy to me. And then one of the things that you said, like, the movies are still relevant, is somebody posted the clip, one of the most amazing clips in that entire franchise of the Order of the Phoenix fight between Voldemort and Dumbledore. And they're like,
best fight in the entire fucking franchise.
You need a key element for something to be in need of a remake or a reboot is that the original has to have fallen out of fashion. That fight looks like it was made next year. You know what I mean? Like that, like the way that the magic, it's like,
it has fallen out of fashion. Voldemort and Harry's mind going, oh, yeah, behind that really bad green screen.
Yeah, like, okay, you know what, man? Zaslav, if you want to go in and polish up those shots, go for it, man. I'll subscribe. I'll subscribe to Max for that. If you want to fix up some of those shots, I just don't get it, man. I'm so defeated already.
Just
Um,
now, sorry, just to like kind of
no, yeah,
segue into
100%.
Max as in general as a
Yeah,
service.
yeah, we should do that.
Um, I think one thing we both agree on, I think everybody agrees on. Why would you take the name HBO out? That makes no sense. When people think HBO, they think quality programming. When you think of Max, I've explained it to, I was talking to Brandon yesterday, and I said, "Oh, did you see that they're doing a Harry Potter series? Like they're doing 7 seasons of the books?" And he's like, "Oh, no, I didn't see that." He goes, "What?" He was like, "Oh, is that going to be on HBO?" I go, "No, it's going to be on Max." He goes, "Well, what is
Oh,
that?" I go, "Well, that's what HBO's on. So you have to go to Max to get HBO." He was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Exactly. It's stupid. That's the
yeah,
reaction you're supposed to have." Um, and then the whole, I don't know if you saw the tier listings. Fucking putting 4K behind a paywall. I know Netflix
that's
does it,
insane.
but Netflix also only has like that stream of revenue. Like that's all they do is they
Yeah,
give you a subscription. So I guess
yeah,
I
that's
get
a
it,
great point. That's a great
but
point.
like 4K behind a paywall I think is pretty bullshit. Um and I think it's also with like you can share 4 screens or something as well as maybe download whatever. But yeah, I think that and they call it ultimate ad free.
I know. Yeah,
Come up with a better name. Better name. Come on, what are we doing? Like just make I I I don't think you should have to pay for I guess technically you do. It's like, you're buying a PlayStation 5, you're buying an Xbox Series X, you're paying for that up in quality of content. You're paying for, PS5 advertises 8K, 120 frames per second on the box, blah blah.
hmm
Obviously no games, I don't think anything runs at 8K currently.
yeah,
Um, but I just that just feels very kind of slimy to me putting the 4K behind a paywall when literally the only other person that does it is Netflix. Granted, again, Netflix has that thing where that's all they do is you pay for their subscription.
yeah. That's a great
Um,
point that you brought up that I didn't
it's
even
kind of
think
bullshit,
about. Yeah,
I
it's
think.
is like first of all, I think
Now, if there's any other services that do that, maybe I'm wrong, but
no. I
from what
mean,
I
not
can
to my
tell, it's
knowledge.
just Max and Netflix that do that.
Yeah, like um, I don't know. I just we've had this show, Planet Film Live, and the two of us, we've had a history with HBO Max. One of our earliest shows was this streaming service is a piece of dog shit. A year later, we gave it in our little fake awards. We gave it most
I was
improved
number
streaming
one, I
service.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then a year after that, when we ranked him, it was still our number one. This is, it's just everything, every wrong decision, every I won't say anti-consumer. I'll say every counter-consumer oriented decision that you could make, you made. You know what I mean? It's like, and I think you make a great point that I didn't even remotely think of is you're putting a resolution behind a paywall, and this isn't even your main source of income. Like you're like you know what I mean? It's so stupid. Like if you just said, hey, and this was what the original articles and everything were going to say was that the price wasn't going to change. Obviously, we now know that that was bullshit. But if you said, "Hey, we're doing all this stuff. Sure, maybe the name's weird, but your price is not going to change at all, and you're getting, do you like HGTV? Do you like Food Network? Do you like the Discovery Channel? You're going to get all that stuff. We're just going to throw it in there for you, and your price isn't even going to change. You would get so many more people being still like, oh, that's what a weird, what weird decisions they made. But nobody would be like upset about it. You know what I mean? Doing this is like, what you're literally punishing people. You're charging them more for the same stuff that they're already getting. And like you said, saying and the only other one that does it is Netflix is not really good company these days because I don't
Yeah.
know if you've noticed but the public is not too fond of Netflix's consumer practices in the last year or so, namely price and account sharing. So, I figure it's only a matter of time before Max goes, one Max password per address, please.
Mhm.
And it's like, in a world, I tweeted this out. I said, in a world where every studio, there was that article that everyone was talking about that was like, studios have realized that still the best way to make a profit is to have a sole theatrical window. Really? You don't
Mhm.
say. Like, there was that
Except
just like,
Netflix.
yeah, exactly. There was that just like, and then you also, right now, you have Apple doing it the right way, where Apple is going, hey, we're proud of
Yeah.
the content we're making. We're going to put the money in to distribute it. We're going
I
to
was
put
gonna
the money
tweet
in.
like when I saw that report, I was like, "So, can somebody call Netflix and tell them that
This is what you should
this
be
isn't
doing.
new?" Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just, you're just in a world where you're seeing Marvel, Star Wars, Disney in general, even something like Paramount and Prime have said, hey, we need to focus more on quality over quantity. Kathleen Kennedy today in a different interview said the same thing about Star Wars. She was like, hey, not that we've seen, a dip or anything like that, but, it's important to us with the success of things like Andor to focus on making sure that everything we put out is quality. And so then to make this big, grand, splashy redesign and literally say, one of the executives literally said, we got rid of the HBO because we don't want to be known only for premium content. What is that? How is that a positive? What are you saying with your words? It makes no sense to me. To be like, no, we are going with quantity over quality. God damn it. Like, that in today's landscape is insane to me. I don't know, but I mean, there's so much. We could literally spend hours talking about this, and we will. We will. This is not going away. They're not going to come out tomorrow and go, you know what? You were right. We're going to keep it HBO Max. Let's do this. And also, I do have to say too, to play a little devil's advocate, you know what? Fuck it. I was just gonna say it's hard to merge two companies. You're probably a fucking monopoly, anyways. I forgot. They're like launching an investigation into them too. I forgot about that. Fuck this company, man. Split them back up again. I don't care. Like honestly, I'm just like, so many of these decisions. Like, it was such for a long time like a wait and see on what Zaslav's doing, and then I was even defending him to like coworkers and everything. I was like, yeah, but the idea is that they're taking some of this stuff off the streaming platform so that then they can license it out and start making some money on it again. Now they're just taking the butcher, blade, and they're just, chopping up whatever the hell they want to. I'm officially back on team, Zoloft, David Zoloft. Not for me. I'm very upset with these decisions, but again, especially the Harry Potter thing, I'm just kind of resigned to silent stewing for the next 2 to 3 years, hoping that it will never come out. But
this is also I guess you could say this is as another reason why there are so many physical media purists out there. I'd say, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, because who doesn't give a shit about this Harry Potter reboot? People who only have physical media.
Yeah.
They're just like, what do you mean a reboot? They're on my shelf. Like that, you know what I mean? Like that. And
Yeah.
I am one of those people, specifically for those 8 movies. I mean, hell, half the time you can't even fucking watch Harry Potter on HBO Max. Half the time it's on Peacock.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, get your shit together. I don't know. Like, you're this giant company.
I still can't believe they called it Max.
I know. I know.
It was
And
so
then
dumb.
they put the circle in the A of Max. Like this, how the circle from HBO,
yeah.
like as if that's supposed to be like, see, the HBO, the specter of HBO is still there. And I love the redesign from HBO Max to Max, the one to watch for HBO. What the fuck are you doing? Like,
They've always had a really tough time with their naming for some reason.
I know, and then people said, even if you want to separate the HBO from it, because from a practical business standpoint, I will absolutely hear the argument that goes, well, if there's a family show or a kid show sometimes parents don't want, their kids to be like, oh, what do you want to watch on HBO today? You know what I mean? Like, but then, I think it's great. Like Warner Max, that was a name that we thought was floating around for a while. Because like, I don't know, maybe given that it's the 100th anniversary, I think the name Warner holds some weight in Hollywood. I think people might be familiar with that word. But I don't know. It's like if they called Disney Plus, if they just said, we're just calling it Plus. we're just going to call it Plus.
Sorry, also, as well as 4K behind the paywall. Also, Dolby Atmos is also behind that paywall.
Oh, yeah, for everybody out there with
Which
their Dolby
I don't
Atmos
have
surround.
access to, but yeah.
Anyways, we could talk about this for hours, but I'm just getting drained talking about it even more. So, guys,
ooh,
let us know what you think about this horrendous decision-making process, rebrand, redesign, whatever you want to call it. Harry Potter getting a ill-fated reboot.
Breaking news: Snyder Cut to be removed from Max. What would your reaction? What would your reaction be?
Well, it's going to Netflix, right? And they're going to continue it, right? Come on. Oh my God. Let me know you guys' thoughts on that. Let's wrap up the show here. Before we finish, though, I do want to say, because this broke just a little bit before we went live on the show today from the Hot Mic podcast with John Roca and Jess Snyder, that apparently Netflix is 100% moving forward with an American remake of Squid Game that is reportedly being developed by and then will be directed by David Fincher.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
Listen, I like David Fincher, great director. Wasn't that big of a fan of Mank, but I love love
big
Seven.
Netflix guy, David Fincher.
Yep, love Seven. And many other movies. The Game.
Yep.
Me personally, not a big. I liked Squid Game. I really liked it. I didn't think. Again, maybe it's just because it took so long for me to watch it. If you recall, at the end, I was kind of
late, right?
I came to it a little late, like probably a week or two later.
Oh yeah.
And it was so hyped up that it just didn't completely land for me, which I was like, okay, yeah, So, and I'm not a big American remake person. Like I don't know, are they still doing that remake with I think it was supposed to be Leo in the Mads Mikkelsen movie that came out like a year or two ago, that Danish movie?
Are you talking about Another Round?
Yeah, wasn't there supposed to be a remake that they're doing with Leonardo DiCaprio, or no?
I'm like getting like a sense memory of that.
I feel like that was reported. I don't know if that's still happening, but on that same podcast, Roca brought up some good points about how they could implement.
That is real.
That is still a thing.
Yeah.
How they could implement things that Americans deal with. That's maybe obviously differentiation in culture. That you could bring into that show, which again, very good idea. But just for me, like I'm not. That's the way you have to do it. I'm just not the biggest remake person. Even like Squid Game season 2, I don't really know if does there need to be a season 2?
I don't think that there needs to be a Squid Game season 2, but if I'm let's just say I don't think there needs to be a Squid Game season 2, but I would watch Squid Game season 2 a million times before I would want there to be an American remake of Squid Game. I think like that is, first of all, Squid Game is a Korean game that has no basis in. So what are you going to call this one? Hopscotch? You know what I mean? Like, is that what it's going to be called? Is the big climactic? And also, it's like, now if it is David Fincher developing it and David Fincher writing it and everything like that, then I feel like if anyone's capable of bringing something fresh and new to it, it could be him. But you have to make it so fresh and new at a certain point. Is it even Squid Game? You know what I mean? Like, or are you just saying, oh, the basic concept of this remote island and they take all these poor contestants there, and they make them compete in these games, and people die. Like, if that's just as loose as you're keeping it, then show me what you got. You know what I mean? But if you're going, it's this guy, he has gambling debts, he goes to this thing, he decides to not, like, if you're just doing a shot-for-shot, like, remake with a little bit of different games, what's the point? I mean, Squid Game's the most watched Netflix thing there's ever been, and guess what? It wasn't in English. You know what I mean? Like, people watched it. People watched it with the goddamn subtitles on, and I feel like an old man. I feel like this whole month, I just feel like I'm like, you know, on my lawn screaming to kids to get off of it with all these like reboots and remakes and, you know, fucking Moana shit. Like, what? Like, these companies are just like zapping my will to live with some of these decisions that they are making. But who knows? Let's see if that actually comes to fruition and if we really do get a Squid Game reboot or remake, I should say. And what'll come first? The real life Squid Game that they're currently putting people in the hospital in the UK while filming, Squid Game season 2, or the American remake. So, you know, I think I'll just wait a couple more months and just rewatch the original Squid Game and just be happy with that. But guys, let us know what you think about all these reboots, remakes, craziness going on in Hollywood. I feel like, you know, on screen, Hollywood's having a fantastic year so far. I feel like behind the scenes, Hollywood is falling apart this year. I mean, between Marvel and DC last month and now just kind of regular studio system stuff, it's been a real hectic time. But guys, let us know all that. Thank you guys so much for joining us in this show, this late show on a Thursday night. But we're glad that you took the time to join us, and we're glad that, you know, we decided to still go live even though it was 2 days late, and it was well worth it for this conversation and everything. So lots of stuff coming up here. We're still going to have a lot to talk about next week. Hopefully next week will be less of a jam-packed show, and maybe we'll be able to talk some box office, see where Mario's landing with all that stuff, talk a little bit more about some of the stuff that we've been watching. I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into Succession because that is just absolutely killing it this year. And you know, this past week in particular, I think is probably one of the best episodes of television that there has ever been. Period. But yeah, that'll do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Sorry, thank you so much for joining us. That'll do it for me. I've been one of your hosts, Sean Monk. The last thing I'll let you know to do is jump down, let us know what you thought about any of the topics below, and while you're down there, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with any film fan that you know or any entertainment fan that you know.
I've been your other host, TJ Cornwall. Thank you for watching. Catch us next week on Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Subscribe on our social medias. Follow us on our social medias for news, reviews, etc.